So this is one of the pieces that I have in my body of work at this time. This is giving me information, you know, pick what you're drawn to. I want to go around and pick a couple objects, and this shape is one of them. I'm really obsessed once again with the circle shape. This is to me is like a triangle or an arrow shape, even though, you know, it's a teardrop. It's like I never put a teardrop, I don't put it that way. I love it pointing down. And, you know, I actually am going to be talking more in detail because every single shape that you choose has an impact on your work, because descriptively, the shapes are so important to people, like on a subconscious level. And when you're really picking your true colors and shapes, your real work will come through. So in this piece, I love the circle of it. I love the hammered wire. I love the fragility of it, you know? You find at different periods of your life, you use fragile work, you use powerful work, you use, you know, just, and I, you know, like I said, I can really expand on this, but I do know, for me, it's like, there was a period of time in my life where I had a couple very important people to me who died. And it's like, I just, you know, felt it in my heart, and I carried heart rocks around with me everywhere, you know? There were always 2 of them in my pocket. I had them around my studio. It just, those were the shapes that were gonna make me feel good. So now this is like endless life, this right here, endless life. And this little hammered out fragile work that's woven together is really making me feel good. And I did this work probably 10 years ago. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'm bringing in some of my, you know, it's really fun to look back at your old work. The only way to a new body of work is through your old work. Isn't that interesting? So it's like, here's some of my old works that I love. So dig back into your old stuff. This is a way to get to a new body of work. Dig into your old stuff and see what you're gonna find in, you know, see if something really draws you to your heart. Look in your junk drawers. Look in your studio. Like, we collect things that we love and make an impact on us in our life, and we want to have these around us. So, you know, that's really, you know, and then I'm gonna collect like 10 different pieces. This is my first one, and just keep them in a little collection as I work on this new body of work. And I'm saying pinks and blues, you know, in a lot of tourmaline, but I might change my mind. I might put some power stones in there, you know, or different things like that. So this one here, I'm just gonna get started. I wanna just kind of show, you know, this one right here. It's like, I really love this little shape too. You know, it's just really life. It's just all about life, the imperfection of life, right? And that one, and this one is really about the perfection of life. So they're both a contrast to each other, and I always love pieces like that. You know, this is actually opening my heart, both these colors, and putting me into a higher place. So I'm just gonna kind of work behind the scenes a little bit. I have to take off my earrings because these are my Optivisors, and they're a little bit dirty, but unfortunately, earrings get in the way. Let me get the top. Ear and curly hair gets in the way. Earrings get in the way of my Optivisor, and this is the way I wear them. So I'm gonna go back into my studio and get started. Okay, you guys, I told you my studio bench is not that clean. My studio's clean, see? There's my trees, there's all my stuff. I'm always rearranging it all the time. And the thing about it is that I can work better with like this. I don't know about you guys, but look at this. Here's where all my solders are. I do have to get it all lined up, and here is where I do most of my soldering. My board is dirty. When I actually film on my site, I will try to put a white board on here, you know, a white one, so people can see it. You can't really see the soldering that well. This is a piece I'm working on, and I actually just fused together this is actually gonna be a ring band. I have one like this on my other ring, which I'll show you some pictures too. But this is really kind of a fun technique. You can just do a regular band or a ring band. This one ends up being super sturdy, real interesting. And this is what silver looks like before it is cleaned or polished. So this one just came out of the pickle. So you guys know, but if you're not a silversmith. So anyway, I'm gonna work right here. And it's gonna be, you know, a ring like this one. See how both of these are done with scrap metals, and especially this one. So I thought it'd be good to just kind of show you this little technique. I went around and I collected, remember I'm making the ring bands, and this is kind of fun because you're really just getting all your scrap. Look at all these little scrap pieces, and I'm gonna unite them together. I think you guys can see good enough for what's going on here. I know I told you my board is not the cleanest. I'm gonna show you a different time how I clean this board off if I really need some good vision with this. But this is just a super casual one. Okay, I start with one piece. So I'm gonna start with like how long I want it to be. So I start with one good piece. This one isn't scrap, but sometimes it's okay to not use scrap. You know what? Actually, scratch that. I think it's hard for you guys to see with such a dirty board. So I'm gonna show you how I clean my board. Luckily for me, I have a nice scratchy cement ground. Gives me, see that white surface? Look what a beautiful white surface I get. So you guys will be able to see my film a lot better. So let's go back to jewelry making. Oh my gosh, this is so much better. See how much easier you can see on a whiteboard. So I'm glad I made the change. Okay, so this piece right here, I'm gonna do it on a diagonal just because I'm going the long way. So I'm gonna this determines my length of, you know, just to make it easier. You don't have to do it that way. But you can take like I usually try to hammer it a little flatter. I can hang a piece off the end. There we go. I have a piece here that I already have hammered. This is a really good one. Just to put in the scrap pile. It's gonna go pretty far. Pretty far as impact, I mean. Here's a nice square wire. Square wire is expensive, but this piece is gonna be expensive. So why not use an expensive piece of silver, right guys? You don't have to be cheap with your silver. This is gonna turn into a very valuable piece, like this one. That one right there. So I'm gonna put another piece here. I need a big, hefty ring band. You know why? Because I am doing, you know, this is gonna be a good size ring that I need it for. Here, this piece still has pickle on it, a little bit of pickle. So it's not as clean as silver. Some people get amazed at what silver looks like before it's really cleaned, you know? Okay, now this is my flux. Spritzing it all over, getting out my acetylene torch. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna turn off some of these. Turn off some of these lights. There. Much better, right guys? You love that? Okay, so in my hand, I've got this, and it's all spritz, and I'm just gonna start by warming everything up. I've got at this point, you can see I've got my goggles on. Got my big goggles on. I'm gonna turn up my flame because literally I'm just working with fusing, and this is pretty hot. So I'm gonna get it all nice and comfortable. You can see how I laid it out. This is some of the fun stuff. I wanna make sure I don't burn through a lot of the tiny wires. I have to get these big wires heated up. The nice thing is this is almost like a big melt, you know, of like a spontaneous melt. So you don't know what you're gonna get. It's the organic stuff that you get like, oh my gosh, I wonder what it's gonna look like. Oops, knocked it off track a little bit. You know, these surprises. It's like, I love this with enameling. I love it. So I try to get the bigger pieces heated up. So it's kind of this real spontaneous. You can already see when I'm talking about my body of work, I'm talking about spontaneity, right? Freedom, actually, is one of my words that I have for my new body of work. Freedom is a big part of the word. These are just getting nice and melted in. It's just kind of fun seeing what you could create with it, right? What shapes, what happens. I'm not worrying about how high it goes up because you guys will see what I do after this. Get down and heat up a lot of this. I love when there's just areas that kind of melt or undo. All part of the process. You could use anything that goes awry. You can use it in the next melt. If it comes apart, you can put it back together again. Get it in here a little bit better. Some areas that I see need a little bit more fusing. I usually go in twice, so I'm gonna stop right now and let it cool. You never want to pick a piece up right away when you're, there you go. See, it's staying together, but I'm gonna quench this. Quench it. Okay, this is still a little fragile and it has a lot of pokes in different areas like that. So, you know, what I'm gonna do now is, it's annealed because I just heated it up a lot. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna dry this off. I wanna hammer it flat. I'm gonna just anneal it again, which means making it turn red, and then I'm gonna pickle it. So I'm going to go over to my anvil and I am gonna take you with me. First of all, guys, check out my anvil. Is this amazing? This I bought so many years ago. So it's like whenever you're hammering, you want to have a really solid resist with your hammer. So I have a, you know, that's why a lot of people really like using these wood stumps because it gives you a good support system for your really big anvil. This, you guys, oh my God, it's so funny. Whenever a guy walks into my studio, their eyes get really big. Like, what? Look at that anvil. It's really good. I like to do a lot of forging work. So this one was well worth my money, you know? So this actually is just, this isn't forging at all. This is just, I'm actually working this piece flat that you guys saw. So I'm gonna get started here. Voila. So this is it. I'm gonna very gently because it's still a little bit fragile. So I'm working in front of here and I'm holding this very, very gentle. And if anything comes apart, don't worry because I'm gonna go back in another time for making it a little bit flatter. You get a whole different shape when you start doing this work. It's falling apart a little bit, but I'm making it flat and then I know where I have to do my work to get it put back together again. But you can still see I turn it to the side to get it nice and flat. Voila. Okay, this is only as flat as I want to make it for now because I can see areas where if I tried to turn this into a ring, there would be challenging areas. So I'm gonna go back in and I'm actually gonna pickle this, which means I'm gonna get all this fire scale off because the silver loves to fuse when it does not have fire scale on it. Okay, second time in. This time, usually I just go in 2 times. I love like these little spaces that are missing because this can really give you a good look. Okay, let me turn the lights off again. I think it looks good. Okay. Give it all overall. Flip it this way. First you give it the initial heat up. It's not gonna really get into any fusing, or it's just really getting it all the way warmed. Then you start focusing in on one spot. And I think I'm gonna get back to the center spot. I usually like to have a piece of silver ready in case some area is really fragile. Like that might be nice to put this piece on here, just because it might need a little bit of something to help hold it together. Silver, as strong as it is, when you weaken it, the molecules like this with fusing, you have to make sure it's being held together properly. Whoops. I like hitting it from all angles. Leave a little negative space in here. This side is done well. I just have to get all of it to fuse together. There we go. There we go. Gorgeous. It's hard to judge it when you're first doing it, you know, on how it's going to look in the end. You just have to go with things and experiment. Listen, silver, yeah, it's valuable, right? Some people get afraid to use silver, but the thing about it is that you could, it's still there. There's nothing that you lose from it but the copper. So every time you heat silver, just a little bit of copper comes up and out and kind of cleans it off to be a pure, fine silver. So really you're just making your metal more valuable when you work with it like this. So if you don't like it, you could just roll it out in your roller. No, you lose nothing. You know, you don't lose anything but time. That's it. You lose nothing but time to try out different experiments. So that's what I always am like, just go in and try things out. There's no right or wrong. You know, if you don't like it, you can always turn it back into a sheet of metal where it started from with you. You know, really it started with these coins or blocks or all of that. So no worries on what, you know, being afraid to like melt a piece. If you don't like it, like I said, I know this is gonna look good in the end, but for you guys, you know, if you haven't experienced it before, ooh, this one feels nice and firm and hot right now. But see, doesn't look like anything, but you're gonna see where it turns into something amazing. Okay, back to my anvil again. That just made it dead soft because that was my final hammer. And I'm gonna quench it, and I'm gonna show you even how I polish up the ends. There might be, you know, now it's like, look, I have the piece here. There might be some sharp ends that I don't want my people or myself to have. So I'm gonna go over to my jeweler's wheel and I'm gonna polish this up over here. Here's my other messy area, but this actually is a hood and it has a vacuum on it. So anything that it takes off my silver, you know, I don't want to polish away a lot of my silver, but this is before I even pickle it. I can feel there's a little bit of scratchy ends on here. It's annealed, so it's soft. It'll be ready when I'm gonna bend it. But I have a Scotch-Brite wheel on this side of it, and this is gonna take off any of these burrs that might hurt you. I'm gonna stand over this way. You guys can see a little bit, but not much. Glasses on when you do this type of work. But now see, I have lights, I have spinning, I have direction. I know you can't see that well, but you can hear. Okay. Polished. I'm going to pickle it. This should feel beautiful on my hands. And then I'm going to turn it into a ring and show you how I do that. It's going to be beautiful. Here's my pickle. Again, you know, just pop it in. A lot of people don't use the jeweler's wheel like that. I love it. It's like what I learned way back in the 80s. You know, it's something that I just love because, you know, it just really gets the job done. I love polishing pieces that way too. Sometimes I use my Dremel, but that's like a really quick, if I have flat pieces like this one, I can really get in there and polish it good. And I'll show you all the way at the end when I polish it up. I think, to me, it looks really good that way. So I'm gonna bring you back over here. My piece is nice and clean, woo. Okay, here we go. This, I know it's hard to see all my dark, but this one is metal. This is my mandrel. It's a ring mandrel. It gives you sizes so I can work on the side. But I set this up to go right inside my anvil because I love doing work like this. I'm gonna keep this little point out. So I'm gonna use my rubber mallet because I don't wanna dent, I don't wanna, as much as I melted this and fused it, it's like keep it in this shape. So I'm gonna start, I like to start smaller. You know, what I'll do once I get the end around is I'll just kind of bring my piece around. Whoop, I wanna be careful not to get, okay, then, okay. Once I get this, sometimes I use my hands, it's a little easier. I'm going smaller with the size that I want. And see, there's a little problem here. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of solder. I do a little bit of solder in the end, but this piece is getting to be very, very, very cool. I can always stop it and shut it down whenever I need to. So I just kind of do the fusing with it. I might not use this whole piece. It's awfully big. Okay, I'm getting with my pliers. You can see how beautiful this piece is getting to be. Just some of the areas I want to use what naturally it has going for it. And then I'll always take off all this, you know, some of this real hard stuff. Okay. I think it's gonna give me a natural bend on where to have it end. Ooh, nice. Could be thick. It's starting to get a little thick, so I actually think I'm just going to, I'm gonna bring it all the way around. I am gonna bring this all the way around because it's kind of cool. I love with like one little piece trailing it in the ends. Okay. Once you get your piece on here, now it's just getting it into good shape. So I'll have 3 pieces in my body of work that are built. This one's kind of big. This one could be a thumb ring. But I think what I'm gonna have to do is get in and work with it a little bit smaller. I might cut it off. I don't like that middle part right here. So let's see what I can do. Do I like this bottom part a lot more? You know, it really is just like a lot of tweaking as you go. This one is giving me more trouble than the one before that. I think I'm gonna find a cutoff point here and tuck it in. Oh, that's what I like. I'm gonna take it apart right here. Use that one for something else. I get a little fumbly in my studio. I'm so glad I'm not a glass. So glad. I used to work with a little bit of glass, but it's hard. There, I'm liking this. I'm trying to do this for my middle. So let me make it a little smaller. I can make it smaller with my hand tools. Okay, love that. I'm gonna have to go back in now that I have it closed and really do some polish. I mean, really do some cut work. This one's gonna be smaller because it's gonna be supporting a bezel. I'm gonna solder this together and then I'll do all this polish work, get all the polish out of here and into shape. So I'm gonna bring you back over. See, this is where it's like you see a piece and it looks like, oh my gosh, it's just melted. Should be cheap, right? But you see, to get a piece that is so organic and so natural looking, you know, to really get it where it fits comfortably and it doesn't have burrs on it, you know, and like you're just imagining, you saw the piece I had to throw away because of it. So it's always interesting. You know, there's sometimes a lot of work that just goes into these little organic looking pieces too. Okay, I'm gonna get on here and keep hammering. Oh, I'm liking the shape. You want it to be exactly the shape that you have it, you know? Okay, there we go. Turned out much different than I thought it would, but I like it. This is actually where I can sit the bezel on. There's a nice clear area, and then I've got this gorgeous area here. So one thing I want to do is make sure this piece is soldered in, and this is nice and flat, and this should really work. There's a little area here, you know, so now it's like I'm gonna go in and do some soldering, but I can like patch up different areas that I think is gonna look great. So you know what I wanna do? I'm gonna hold this up in the air. I'm gonna use this stuff called Hold It, and it literally will prop all of your work up where you can get at it easier. So let me put, it's like a putty, you know how people use these for photography when you're photographing. So I'm just gonna stick this in here a little bit like that, hold it up, and get a little bit of solder on it on this end, and then maybe get this piece in there too. Okay. All right, this takes some high heat too. This Hold It. Gets a little bit gooey, so you have to clean it off before you can solder with it, but it's a good, okay, I'm just gonna solder with some EZ, which I have over here, and I pick solder. So I'm gonna heat this up. I love pick soldering. That's one of my favorites, I think. So, get a little bit in here. Sometimes you don't really have to solder anything together, but I really want to make sure my ends are taken care of. Oh, that was a piece of solder. Okay. I didn't believe it. All right, let's see. I'm going to put a piece down in here. Okay, now let me get my, oh, you know what I'm doing? The big solder and that little piece right here. Put a little bit of solder on there. These are all getting kind of stuck together. Okay, here we go. Put a little bit on here. Get it flowing. There we go. And now I'm just gonna present it where I can kind of patch up a little area here. I know when I start talking, my voice gets mumbly when I'm soldering. It's so hard to there we go. There we go. This would be nice. Now remember, I could always cut part of this off, and I'm gonna even come from under and from the sides. The little piece is gonna need a lot more heat. Now look at how careful I'm being for this little, you guys saw how I just melted the whole piece to create it. But see, you can see how careful the whole thing, well, that wasn't very careful, but it's making it even cooler, right? That's the good thing about this project. There we go. Love that. Okay. Okay. I see a little piece under here that needs to be soldered. I did my other piece last night, and I feel like I was more on a roll, but that's okay. So you can put your fire right on top of this Hold It, and it works out fine. Any place else that needs some solder, you don't want it to come apart later. There we go. Okay. I think it is good. I quench the whole thing and then it comes off. See, and I was able to solder right onto there too. Woo, it's looking good. Okay, so I can get in. Oh, I love that piece there. That really looks cool. You guys are gonna probably like it in the end. I might keep it. I'm gonna put it on the ring mandrel again. Everything is soldered together nicely. It's gonna fit well. Remember, I might really use this for the top. If I'm using this for the top of a ring band, there's a nice part right here that I can use for this bezel and this piece. So I'm gonna actually clean it up over here. Let's get over here. Clean up a little bit of these sharp edges. Pick on it again. Yay, it's almost done. It's gonna be exciting. I'll meet you guys back over here. I'm gonna actually keep it in the pickle. The last time I pop it in pickle, I keep it in there a little bit longer just because, you know, I like to have it super, super clean. When it gets out of there, I'm gonna be using this brush to put some liver sulfur. I use liver sulfur and then I clean it up to such a beautiful white, I feel like this is how white that I love my, here's one piece that I had before. That's how white I like my silver, even though I put in liver sulfur. It's all, you know, a personal preference. So, yeah, this is like, I'm excited about this for my body of work. It's gonna be pretty cool to get this whole piece done. And the next time I talk, I wanna show I'm gonna give you a variety of different shapes that I'm using for this body of work and how I'm repeating it through the whole body, and you'll be able to see all of it. Super exciting. I'm really excited to keep moving on this. I need to make sure this is so comfortable on. And you know what? It feels so good because I filed the inside of it. It really, really does feel good. Even though it kind of looks like it's, you know, you get some beautiful endings on here. So I'm gonna actually put in the liver sulfur now. Nice and dark and blackened like steel, but this is gonna look good. I have it's about to rain out over here, and I don't have my overhead lights on because I just love kind of working in a little cozy place, so I'm a lot darker right now. The lighting is darker. Well, I'll go turn it on. Here's the rest of my studio here. My lights are all the way down at the end here. Oops. It's gonna be exciting. So this is if I'm keeping it you know, just as a piece like this. I want to show you from start to finish. I'm going to show you polishing it. I just polished it on my wheel over here, and it's going to be pretty. I'll just have to do another one I'll have two like this. I'll have to do another one for, you know, I want one for the back of that other ring, for the base, for the ring base. These are could be ring bases. So I always hold it with my gloves because I'm going to start using the wheel. The wheel is the one that a lot of people don't like to work with, but it has a beautiful, beautiful bottling compound. Starting to get so pretty and shiny. A little bit dark here, but so here I am with my earrings back on and my lipstick again. I finished it, yay! Polished it up nice and shiny and interesting looking. Okay, so earlier I was talking about building a body of work. So think about this. When you see a technique that you like, whether you like this one or another one, when you see a technique that you like, it's important to, yes, do it the first time. And then when I come in tomorrow or later on today, I want to ask myself, how can I make this technique better? How can I make it different? How can I make it work differently? How can I make it function differently? Is there something I can do with this? And when you're working on a body of work, again, you pull out your journal, you put your sketches down. I am many times tempted to, you know, you take photos of it from different angles. And then when I come in tomorrow, I'm gonna stretch this technique a little farther, an inch at a time. So it's like, it's not unrecognizable what you turn it into. It's just, you can see a progression of your work 1 inch at a time. And that really is what a body of work is all about. Part one. So this was part one, you guys. If you liked it, I'm gonna come in a few more times as I'm building this whole, as I'm building this whole body of work. I'm gonna come in, I wanna show you guys like what objects I picked to build the body of work around, maybe what images. I'm gonna pull out pictures and images, and we'll just kind of move down the route. So this is part one. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys liked it, and make sure you subscribe if you liked it. I'm Susan Lenart, and I've enjoyed doing this today. It's been really fun for me. I'm really working with the community and looking for this. So it's fun working on a body of work with you. Life should be fun. Our work should be fun. We're artists, Okay, we'll see you next time.